Hey guys, it's Barrett with the Camping Camper. Today we're at Marion County Park in Jasper, Tennessee, which is about 20 minutes west of Chattanooga on I-24. And when I say on I-24, I mean on I-24. The interstate is just right over the lake here. We'll talk more about that in a minute. I first learned of this campground when I met Mark with Grand Adventure here a couple of years ago. I didn't know this park was over here before then. This is a cheap park. It's about $20 a night, and you can't beat it for having river access, or lake access rather. But we're going to go over some cons and benefits to that here in just a little bit. Now, Marion County Park is in Jasper, Tennessee. This is a close distance to Chattanooga, and if you're wanting to go explore the Chattanooga area, then this is probably a good spot to do it from. I mean, you're going to be right here on the lake. It's not expensive. You're close to Chattanooga, but be warned that I-24 traffic through Chattanooga can be atrocious, especially during rush hour. Us locals, we usually avoid the whole area in general, but I know that sometimes people just come to visit and explore and they've never been here and they just want to do it. There are some other great things to do in the area, including exploring Foster Falls and the Fiery Gizzard Trail along there. If you're into that type of stuff and hiking, it's great stuff. I'd rather do it when it's not so daggum hot like this. Now, I will say that Foster Falls, they do have a campground up there, but the campground is dry camping. They don't allow generators. It's pretty small. It's not that desirable in my opinion. If you're going to go up there, I'd go up there and do like a backpacking trip. They have some backpacking spots that aren't that far off of the trail, and it's just, to me, going to make your experience a whole lot better. It is kind of near and dear to my heart because that is the area where I first did a backpacking trip myself when I first got into camping. All right, so let's talk cell speeds for a minute. The cell speeds here are pretty slow. Even with my Instant Connect with my rooftop antenna, we've actually been able to stream, but a lot of the speeds that we're getting are about 5 download. Now, it did fluctuate a bit, but the best that I got was 23 with my FirstNet phone and 34 with my Instant Connect, which is also through FirstNet. I believe an issue for the lower speeds here is we are at the base of Mont Eagle Mountain, and you're kind of down in the valley here, so I don't think a lot of those signals permeate well down into the area, but I'm no specialist on the subject. As far as general information about this campground, it is a county park. The nightly rate is about $20 a night, like I said, which is awesome. It is electric and water hookup only with no sewer access. They do have a dump station. There are also 2 bathhouses. The bathhouses here are very basic, but they are clean. There are a lot of sites in this campground with many waterfront sites. There are also a couple of boat ramps as well as a decent sized pier that's apparently used for fishing. I thought that was a great feature, as a lot of the water on the campsites here is very shallow, kind of way out past the shoreline. They do have a pavilion and a small playground here, and the tent sites are kind of on the other side of the little island here. They're off to themselves, so that's going to give them more privacy without the noise of all us rowdy RV campers, you know what I mean? Most of the waterfront sites do have a decent amount of space in between the sites. Some of the pull-through sites and some more of the inner sites here, they are pretty tight together. Also, I want to point out that when you check in, you kind of come in, you got to go straight ahead to the office, which it kind of forks 2 or 3 different ways, but it's mainly kind of the center road that's straight that you're going to go to. And the office is in a building there that's set up out of a shed. It's pretty obvious once you get to it, but you can't really see it when you're first driving in. Now let's talk about some negative aspects of the campground. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. It's going to be the interstate traffic. The interstate is, like I say, just across the lake, and it's in plain view of your campsites most of the time. I will say it doesn't bother me all that much because it's just like a low hum in the background and not right in your face. I suppose it'd be a little bit different if you were in a tent though. I can't hear anything once I go into the RV here, and so, you know, nighttime it doesn't bother me at all. And during the daytime, like I say, it's traffic, but it's not like horrible loud traffic in my opinion for the $20 a night. You also can't make reservations online. You have to call the office during business hours and make reservations. With that, it didn't seem like you had too much control over your site because they kind of just put you on a site, so you couldn't just get online and see what sites were open and just pick one yourself. I mean, I'm sure you can probably request a site, but to me the process seemed more like it was going to be like okay, I want this. I said I want a waterfront site, and they said, okay, we got you covered. Now, the only other negative aspect about this campground, besides the dadgum heat right now, is going to be the lake access, which goes along with the heat, don't you think? So like I said, the water along a lot of these campsites is going to be pretty shallow. There are a bunch of ankle twisters down there that they line the bottom of the lake with. I would have preferred that it just been mud. I hate mud, but it'd be better than tripping over those rocks on the way out there, and I failed getting out there, and that's why we hadn't went back. There is a lot of thick vegetation, as you can see, right on the edge of the bank as well, and so I was kind of cautious about snakes and stuff like that. I didn't see any, but it's kind of hard to get through that down into the ankle twisters. They do have a couple of pallets sitting there that are pretty sturdy to kind of serve as like a makeshift dock, and that worked okay, unless you got one that was a little wonky, which ours was, so it kind of rocked back and forth. I could have adjusted a little bit, but you know, that solved the problem of the vegetation. But then you just get down in the water and you can't stand up. I can, at least. Gimpy legs can't stand up. All right, so let's talk about preferred sites. I didn't spend a whole lot of time going through preferred sites like I usually do, because like I say, you don't have a lot of control over where you pick your reservation at. Virtually all of the waterfront sites are nice and they have a decent amount of space there. They are a little bit shorter, so if you have a rig over like 30 feet, you might be very limited on what sites you can fit on. I will say that the nicest site, in my opinion, is site 22. This site had some good shade. There are some trees there, so that can cause you some issues backing in because there's trees on both sides of the camper. And so it could interfere with some slides or something, but there's some good shade there, and it's kind of pointing more where your front door is at, a little bit more toward the water. Now, if you want a pull-through site, I would suggest one of three sites for you. Site 35 is probably going to be the pick for me. It's going to be down on the end, and it's just has a little bit more yard space and nobody right in your face, but you're going to have all the traffic from the loop going right past you every time. My bad, I only had 2 pull-through sites that I was going to recommend. The other one's 29. 29 is a good site. It has quite a bit of yard space. It has a lot of shade, and so it's going to be the one that I would pick if you needed a longer pull-through site. But you know, that being said, you're just going to have more yard space probably over here on the waterfront sites. But like I say, I didn't spend a lot of time going through those sites because it's harder to choose your specific site when you come in here. Now, I will say I would avoid sites 28 and 30 if you got a pull through, because those 2 sites, they kind of go a little bit more than 90 degrees when you come in. So you got to go like around a tree or some trash cans and then go back. And like I say, the turn's probably more like 100 degrees, and that's really hard to do if you got a longer rig, especially with a trailer. You might end up having to come all the way around the loop and then backing in the site. And so for that reason, I would avoid those 2, because the main reason you're going to want a pull-through site so you don't have to back in. So guys, I've really enjoyed my time here. It has been hot. I can't wait for it to start cooling off a little bit this summer, but you know, it's a week on the lake and I've really enjoyed it. I've not got out and got in it too much, like I said, but all in all, I really enjoy this park. I really enjoy it for the price point. If you're coming to Chattanooga, you're going to visit Chattanooga or any of the stuff between like Chattanooga and Monteagle, this is a great place to stay as long as you don't mind the road noise.
Do not forget to hit that subscribe button.